Welcome to a new quick hitter from the Pure Hoops podcast. Our guest this week is Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated. We discuss the latest happenings in the NBA bubble. This is a insightful, intriguing, and very informative conversation. Hope you enjoy.
How has the communication been with the union, the league, and the players? Are they still communicating in a way of still trying to work in a collaborative spirit, or are you beginning to detect any tension or anything? I know it was just one meeting, but it seems so much has happened since last night. How's the communication been with those three parties?
I think the communication has been pretty good. I think the relationship between the players, the union, and the league has been fairly strong. We know the relationship is strong between Adam Silver and Chris Paul. We know that the working relationship has been excellent with Michelle Roberts and Adam Silver. And I don't think that what's happened in the last 48 hours has changed that. One thing I would say, BJ, is Adam Silver's not here and Mark Tatum's not here. And that's something that it's been brought up to me a few times in the last 48 hours. I mean, I'm not entirely sure that boots on the ground from the two most powerful people in the NBA would have changed anything. But I do think it's important to have the most powerful people in the league in this bubble and part of this experience to understand what players are going through, because the bubble has exacerbated things. The tension that players are feeling right now, a lot of it comes from, the 2 months that basically spent inside this bubble or in isolation away from their friends and families. It's exacerbated. And, I don't think that Adam Silver or Mark Tatum can truly understand what players are feeling and how they're feeling it without being down here. That's been brought up to me, by a few people in the last couple of days that, look, most NBA teams sent their top basketball executives down here. Like the top GMs or the president, whether it's Masai Ujiri or Sam Presti or whoever, they're in the bubble because Lawrence Frank, because in part, they believe that what their players are experiencing, they have to experience as well. Like they have to be here and understand what they're going through. The fact that Silver and Tatum are not here, I don't want to say it's a problem, but it's been noticed. And I wonder if that becomes an issue moving forward. The problem, too, I would say, is like it's not like Silver can get on a plane and get down here tomorrow. Like there are protocols you have to go through. Like you get down here, and even if he's been tested every day since then, you have to do at least 4 days or 30. I don't know. You can't just fly down here and get in a meeting right away. You can do it virtually, but there's a difference to that. And I can tell you, I mean, for some people, the bubble's pretty easy. Like I would just use myself as an example. Like I'm not married. I have no life anyway. Like sitting in a, living in a 300 square foot room for somebody that lived in New York for 15 years is not all that different from day-to-day life. I got to tell you. But for other people who are used to different things, who are closer to young kids and young family, I can't tell you the number of players that I've seen. I spend most of my days in the Coronado Springs where the 3 practice floors are, because that's where the action is. And I see a lot of players and coaches walking up and down. More often than not, I see players on their phones FaceTiming with their children. I saw Giannis FaceTiming with his young son Liam just, I believe it was yesterday now or the day before. Not being around your family, just it becomes burdensome. And I would tell you too, in the next few days, there are scheduled to be a whole bunch of people kind of unleashed onto this bubble, like new people coming in with their friends or family or staffers or whatever. I can't speak for every player, but some that I've talked to see that as something of a consternation, of dread. Like they're in this bubble and they're not having a good time at all. And I don't think players, I'm not sure I'm saying this right, but I don't think players want to see new people come into the bubble like it's a vacation and like have all this excitement about being here. They're not excited about being here. They're feeling like, all right, we're here. We're trying to get through this. It's like a battle trying to get through this every single night. We don't want, people running around thinking it's like a vacation. That's something to keep in mind too, as the days and weeks move forward, as people get released into this bubble. What was once believed to be something of maybe a good thing, I don't think is viewed quite the same way.
That's a great point. And, when the concept was introduced, of course, it was, okay, how do we utilize this as a platform for this messaging? So we've seen the messages on the jerseys. We've seen the statements before and during the anthem. We've had many pressers where guys will just say justice for Breonna Taylor, arrest the officers, etc., etc. So up until Wednesday, from what you've experienced and learned, how has the whole platform for messaging and to help drive that change forward, how was that going before this, of course, giant step that we saw take place Wednesday?
I think it was going okay. I had noticed from talking to players, and Jaylen Brown said this to me a couple of days ago, they'd noticed that since the playoffs started, that the message was kind of getting drowned out more. It was much stronger early on, but in the last week or two, it hadn't been quite as impactful. At least that's what some players have thought. And Jaylen, of course, is not only a top-level player, but a union vice president. So he's got the ear of many players. And part of the things that players are looking for moving forward is just something to have something that will be able to allow them to get their message out as strong as they felt it was getting out in the first couple of days and weeks. They want something to change, something new to be introduced into this environment that will allow them to continue pushing this movement forward. The problem is, and BJ, I don't know if you've heard anything differently, but I don't know if they know what that is at this point.
Right.
Like,
what exactly is the demand right now? If there is a demand,
it's very hard. And I've specifically asked, and I give some media members credit on some of these Zoom calls I've listened to. Like, some media members have asked, like, I think they asked somebody asked Fred VanVleet, like, what should we do? Like, what more do you need from us to help get your message across? And there really isn't an answer. And it's a frustration. I can't understand it because I haven't lived Fred VanVleet's life. I haven't done any of that, but I get it. I certainly understand. I believe what they're saying. It just, I don't know. I don't know what more can be done here, because the reality of this country is that in 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months, the exact same thing that happened to George Floyd, the exact same thing that happened to Jacob Blake could happen again. And, I don't, maybe it was, I don't want to use the word naive, but like,
right.
Players, maybe they thinking that, being down here for a month and a half and putting their message out as strongly as they did, maybe thinking that was going to change anything immediately anyway, wasn't right, because if there's change going to happen, and we all hope that it does, if there's change that's going to happen, it's going to take a lot longer, and it's going to have to be systematic, and it's going to have to begin in November with these elections. Like that's when change, really starts to fundamentally begin. And I think players, maybe in the aftermath of what happened in Wisconsin, are kind of coming to grips with that.
We hope you listen to the full convo with Chris Mannix from Sports Illustrated. Check out the Pure Hoops podcast with BJ Armstrong and myself, Eric Newman, each and every Friday on Pure Hoops Media. Stay pure.